Ladies and gentlemen, have you noticed how many people are talking about leaving the UK lately? I mean, it's not just talk. People are literally packing their bags and they're leaving. I mean, it comes down to a number of factors, ladies and gentlemen. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a closer look at what's going on behind this growing trend. Let's check this out.
You're witnessing a mass exodus of the UK. Ladies and gentlemen, you are going to see what happens when all the hard-working, job-creating, tax-paying citizens of the United Kingdom up and leave and go, fuck it, we may as well go and live somewhere else. So there we go. Number of Britons leaving the UK significantly higher than previously thought, new data shows. 257,000 people left last year, compared to what they estimated as being 77,000. Now, when you ask Grok if this is true, watch what it comes up with. ONS revised estimates show over 250,000 British nationals emigrated in 2024, far exceeding prior projections of around 70,000. This is what happens when you don't listen to people, you tax them into oblivion. People haven't even got 50 fucking quid left in their account after all their taxing and the bills and the council tax and the mortgage. And the rates are going up again, aren't they, at the end of this month? Rachel Reeves is going to be doing the budget. So there you go. That is the state of the UK. It's okay. Nothing to see here. Every fucker is leaving because the country is a pile of shit. The NHS doesn't work. The police definitely don't work. The roads are a fucking travesty. You could have bought a transit van for 10.5 grand 10 years ago. It's 50 grand now. They're taking the fucking liberty piss out of all of us. So, we'll see what happens when normal hard-working people that pay their taxes up and leave. There's going to be fuck all left in this country.
250,000 people migrating from the UK in 1 year. How many of those people are migrating because the UK is an absolute shithole?
A record number of Brits have left the UK under this Labour government, and the government are planning to announce in this upcoming budget a leaving tax, a settling up tax. So if you decide to leave the UK for somewhere else, it's going to cost you 20% of your assets. So just last year, the government predicted that there would be roughly around 77,000 people, Brits, that would leave the UK for somewhere else. This number was in fact 257,000, with some forecasts and predictions saying that that number could be almost double for this year. To be fair, it's no fucking wonder that this is happening. It's no surprise this is happening. We can't live in this country anymore. It's not worth living in this country. The cost of living, the value for money is not in this country. It's just, this country is dead on its fucking arse. And now they want to tax you if you plan on leaving the UK for somewhere else. For fuck's sake.
I mean, the cost of living is one of the reasons as to why there are thousands of people wanting to leave the UK. Let's quickly hear what Keir Starmer had to say about the cost of living.
We're a week away from the budget. People are concerned about the cost of living. What are you doing about it?
For so many people, the cost of living is the number one issue. Whether they feel better off, whether they can make ends meet. And that really matters to me. It matters to this government. When I was growing up, we didn't have enough money. And sometimes we couldn't pay the bills. I know what it feels like to be sitting around your kitchen table worrying about that. And I'm determined that we will bear down and deal with the cost of living. That is why we've introduced free school meals to the extent that we have, free breakfast clubs, for really important for children, most important meal of the day in many respects.
Why do I feel
that we will bear down and deal.
Is it just me, or when Keir Starmer talks, it sounds like it's the same speech? You know, the way he looks at you is kind of like he's taking his mind back to the script, like he's just waffling away trying to find the answer out of thin air. Like he doesn't actually know what he's going to do. That's what it sounds like.
And sometimes we couldn't pay the bills. I know what it feels like to be sitting around your kitchen table worrying about that. And I'm determined that we will bear down and deal with the cost of living. That is why
they are determined that they are going to bear down a deal with the cost of living. In my opinion, what the government needs to be doing is negotiating a deal directly with the supermarkets. How can you have Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, Iceland's, Aldi? You've got all of these different supermarkets in the UK, and you're telling me the government haven't got one single deal in place that benefit the homeless, that benefit people that are struggling, people on benefits, people on low incomes. There's no deal in place with not one of these supermarkets where people can actually get things for free or at least at a very cheap price.
That is why we've introduced free school meals to the extent that we have, free breakfast clubs, for really important for children, most important meal of the day in many respects, free childcare from 9 months to 4 years.
The gaslighting.
Really important for children, but also for parents and carers, and saves families money. It's why we moved early on the minimum wage to make sure that it went up. I'm acutely aware that it is the number one issue. I'm determined to bear down on it. And as I've said many times, and I will say it again through you and to you, every minute this government is not talking about and acting on the cost of living and making people feel better off is a wasted minute as far as I'm concerned.
So that's what Keir Starmer says about the cost of living, and to be quite fair, he sounds like a broken record. Either way, it isn't stopping Brits from leaving the UK.
So you know how we're constantly told the concept of British people leaving Britain because of the state of it is a made-up conspiracy theory? So we've now revised the immigration statistics for 2024, which was last year. We were told that 77,000 British nationals had left the UK. That number was actually 257,000 people. 257,000.
When you think about that number, they actually projected 77,000. 257,000 more like, wow.
British nationals left the UK. I'm going to stab a guess that a decent percentage of those are proper taxpayers, probably high-rate taxpayers. Rachel Reeves and everybody on the left is so adamant about telling us it's a made-up thing. No one's actually going to leave. Well, guess what? They will. Why would they stay?
Exactly.
Why would they want to live in the UK when you're being taxed to death? Crime rates are soaring. We can't keep on control of our borders. The benefit state is just getting out of control. Of course they're going to leave.
Facts.
But one more thing. I wanted to explain the economic impact. So for the same year, 2024, 948,000 people, immigrants, moved to the UK planning to stay long term. Now, in my opinion, what's happening is the people which we are shipping in are mostly low-skilled workers. 52% of the UK's population takes more out in benefits than they pay in tax. And when I say benefits, I don't mean universal credit claims. I mean NHS, care homes, all of those different things, pensions, etc. So the risk is, and this is why, in my opinion, I'm a strong advocate that the reason the UK is falling apart is because the wealth is leaving. So you may hate the rich, but let's say someone leaves who was paying, £100,000 in tax a year, could be way more than that, could be millions of pounds worth in tax a year, and you replace them with 10 people who are all going to take out more than they pay in. I hope you can understand how the country is quite quickly going to get poorer. You've essentially got a pot of money, there's a tap that's pouring money in, and then there's a tap at the bottom that's pouring money out. You're turning off the tap that's pouring money in and turning on the tap that's pouring money out. So you're essentially going to go from a full bowl to an empty bowl very quickly. That is why the NHS is failing. It's not billionaires. It's because we are shipping in people and more low-skilled labour. We're putting more and more British nationals onto benefits and paying them not to work. And it's going to crumble. I'm sorry, we are not far off proper serious economic collapse in the UK. A left-wing government is never going to steer this ship to a brighter future. We need a right-wing government which is going to be sensible and sort this mess out. And final point very quickly, everyone's very busy talking about the small boat crisis. We have less than 200,000 people that have arrived here illegally. Very valid point, but it's the millions that are coming here legally which is the problem to our economy.
Breaking news in the UK. More young adults to leave the UK because of low salaries and a rising tax burden, wealth managers say. This is reported by Financial Times. Someone has offered their own explanation, saying that the UK is a gerontocracy, meaning a country that primarily serves the elderly population, and the UK extracts wealth from the productive to prop up the economically inactive and feckless. Brain drain will accelerate. So that person is obviously expressing a very pessimistic outlook on the UK economy. Them saying that the UK basically takes money from the productive to subsidize the elderly population or people who don't really work and aren't motivated to work. They're saying that based on the fact that we have policies such as the triple lock pension system, which guarantees that pensions grow at least 2.5% a year. And then also they are describing the fact that a lot of money has to fund the welfare system of the UK, which means that the economically active provide money to the government to be able to subsidize the economically inactive through the means of universal credit and other such benefits. Now, there are good reasons that those such benefits do exist, but clearly tax burdens in the UK is becoming a sensitive topic for young people who are building their future.
Absolutely. More people are going to continue to leave the UK because the salaries aren't increasing, but the taxes are. It means you're being worked like a slave, like a proper slave. And one thing I want to add is that I'm not against helping the elderly. If you're over 60, 70, you're them ages there, I have no issues with going out there working hard and putting the food on the table for you. Do you know what I mean? Making sure that you've got a roof over your head, making sure that all your bills are paid for. Especially if you're someone that's worked hard in life, but you don't have a big pension, or you might not have a private pension. Because really and truly, us younger lot, even us guys in our 30s, we can go out there and fend for ourselves. When you get to the ages of 60, 70, life starts becoming more challenging, more difficult. So we have to be there for our elderly, no matter what.
This is going to be a bit of a random one, but a lot of people lately, and understandably, have been talking about moving from the UK, especially with everything that's happening politically, whether that be tax-wise, whether that be the current government policies and things like that. And I do understand that. And don't get me wrong, I have said that in the past as well. But when I ask people where they're planning to move to, it's crickets. And that's because there is no utopia. And I think it's making it very difficult because as millennials, we've been, and not just millennials actually, some Gen Z as well, we've been given this idea that, you know, we can, if we upskill enough, we can move to another country and get a better life. And, you know, I do understand that that's possible, but at what cost? Now, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of places around the world where you can earn more. But to me, there's something within me that just struggles with the ethics behind this. Because let's say, for instance, one of those options is Dubai. Now, we all know, or we should know by now, that the only reason that the UAE is able to provide this tax-free lifestyle to expats is because of the blood of the Sudanese. Like, they're stealing their gold, they're funding all of these terror groups and things like that, and this militia, and people are dying and being killed in Sudan just for people in UAE to be able to live this lifestyle. And that's not to say that, you know, there's any ethical place to live, because you could argue that the UK is the same, right? You know, if it wasn't for colonialism and the British Empire, we wouldn't be able to live in this kind of colonial safe haven, so to speak, when it comes to our safety. But being at the imperial core, or any imperial core, raises any type of ethical dilemma that I personally have. So I just can't see myself confidently packing my bags and going to somewhere like the UAE so that I can get a tax-free salary and get my money, knowing that the only reason that I'm able to do that is off of the blood that is currently being spilled in Sudan. And when it comes to other places, you know, let's say, for instance, the US. Now, I've definitely had it on my list of places where I could probably thrive. You know, like, there's so many places in the US that I love, but it requires a level of cognitive dissonance to be able to go to somewhere like the US with all of our degrees and experience and stuff like that, and get these high paying jobs and, you know, get your visa and stuff like that, and ignore what's currently happening politically in the country. Like, I don't know if I would be comfortable packing my bags and living this luxury lifestyle and being able to get ahead financially because the salaries here are crap, and working in tech would afford me a much better lifestyle. I don't know if I could confidently pack my bags again and go to the US and be like, okay, well, I'm just going to take advantage of the economic situation here because it's better than where I come from. And what does that do for Americans that live in the US? You know, whilst Americans have struggled to get access to education to be able to be competitive on these markets like the tech industry, whilst they also struggle with their internal civil issues currently happening in the country, the shutdown of the government that impacts Americans. Like, it's very easy for me on this side of the world, who is not impacted by the political choices of, the government, to go over there and exploit it for my personal financial gain so that I can get money. And if I was somebody that had no morals and stuff and I only cared about money, then it would have been so much easier. I'd probably be rich by now. But I'm finding it very hard to engage with people when they have these.
Mad, because you just know at least 70 to 80% of the people that are migrating are not thinking along the lines of this lady. This is actually deep. Like, this is really deep. And most people are just going to think money, 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 money. I don't care how this country are operating behind the scenes. I just want to go there and make money. But this lady right here puts a lot into perspective.
It's because, what does it mean to say that you're going to move to another country that has a set of their own problems, and to disregard how it's affecting the people who were born and raised there just for my own personal gain? Like, I don't know. I mean, am I reading too much into this? Is this like a normal
Like I said, it's deep. It's extremely deep, and not a lot of people would be thinking along these lines.
To have, because the alternative is just to stay in the UK and to try and fix these problems that we have.
Exactly.
And yes, we do have some options, some political options, and I would like to think that there is enough of a move and a wave of people being sick of the current climate. But I'll be honest with you, if reform gets into the government, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I don't think I would want to be in the UK under a reform government. I don't think I would. And the bottom line is, there is no utopia. There is no place on earth where we can go and earn a bunch of money and you win at capitalism, whilst also being ethical to the people who live there, and also to the global south that suffer for our benefit in these places. And I don't know if that makes me self-righteous, but it has given me pause, especially with all of the information that we now have available to us on the internet. I don't know. Is that a solution? And of course we want to be able to breathe, and it is quite difficult to live in the UK at the moment, but at the same time I'm like, I don't know if I can bring myself to do that.
People entertain the idea of moving abroad, but at what cost, like this lady said? We recently done a video, leaving the UK, and here's the reasons why. I'm going to pin it to the screen. I want you guys to go and check it out after watching this. But there are massive problems here in the UK, and clearly people have had enough. Over 250,000 people leaving the UK last year alone. After hearing what we just heard, it could actually be double that this year, ladies and gentlemen. If you are someone or know anyone that has packed their bags and left the country, comment down below and give me your reasons as to why. Let's leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. I need to know exactly what you guys are thinking, so leave all of your thoughts, all of your comments down below. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if we're newly watching, turn those notification bells on, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.